NFL Daily, where we've always got a 400-page organizational Bible just nearby in case we ever need a new job. I'm Gregg Rosenthal. I'm in the Chris Wesseling podcast studio with my friends Jourdan Rodrigue of The Athletic and Colleen Wolfe. She's back.
I'm back. Woo. What's up? Great to see you guys.
How was New Orleans? I'm jealous.
It was great. I love New Orleans. I'd only been there one other time, and it was for Thursday Night Football, so it was really quick, parachuted in and out. So this time I had a little bit more of a chance to check it out and have some good dinners, and it was great.
Where'd you go?
I don't remember the name of any of the places, but I can get them to you. It was just like, and it was so festive there. They really go all out for Christmas. It was so fun. And then immediately, very on brand for New Orleans, my first Uber driver just immediately started talking about Lil Wayne. So it's thriving there in New Orleans. I love it. I cannot wait for the Super Bowl there.
I cannot either. We were talking about it earlier, and yes, Colleen Wolfe. We're a long way away from the summer of Connie when you're going around the country and doing.
Maybe
you were
it comes
prepping.
early.
You were prepping for the Super Bowl. I cannot wait. When I started out in this industry, I was at Roto World NBC, and NBC sent me to the Super Bowl for the very first time in 2008 for the 2007 season, Giants-Patriots. And I said, my goal, if I make it to the Super Bowl in 2012, then I've achieved something. That's all I want out of this career. And when I got there, and it ended up being for the NFL and doing around the NFL, or around the NFL, I was like, that's it. I'm not asking for anything more.
You've reached the mountaintop.
So to be back 12 years later, I can't wait. And hopefully we're going to have you here there. I don't know if we can announce that yet, but let's go, Jourdan.
Fingers crossed.
Okay.
And Colleen, whenever you say you parachute in somewhere, I never actually rule out the potential that you literally parachuted in.
And that would be so cool. And I actually would love to do that.
I would not put it past you at all.
She is a pilot. She is a pilot.
I don't have my license,
G5,
so I'm not like street
G4.
air legal, I guess you could say. But I did go to ground school for my private, and working on some hours.
Yes, and a stadium at the before a Super Bowl, got to watch you. In the
F-16, that was cool.
Let's talk a little holiday season. It's time. On this show, we're gonna send some holiday cards out. I don't know if you've started receiving them. I kind of doubt either of you guys are organized enough to send it. Tell me I'm wrong.
This is a total shot, but you are not wrong.
Okay.
And I'm sad that I haven't gotten any yet. I haven't gotten one holiday.
It's early.
I mean,
and people are getting lazy about that.
Can you please?
Me and Tucky will send you.
I'm going to start sending myself cards.
We'll send the cards from one figure to another, or whatever you want. It was really left wide open. We're going to do a little TNF preview, talk a little Rams-Giants, and we got Stafford and Purdy, who both took revenge on the voters of Quarterback Island. I should have said Rams-Niners, rather. Stafford and Purdy. So we'll have a little, QB Island aftermath. There was some controversy about last week's episode, so we'll talk about that then. But let's start with the cards. And this was your idea here, Colleen. And so
That's a lot of pressure.
I'm gonna have you go first to really set the tone.
Right.
But yes, it's holiday cards to NFL figures.
So I really love getting Christmas cards, which makes it much sadder that I have not gotten one Christmas card yet. But I'm really festive. I'm in the spirit. So here we go. This is my first Christmas card. Dear Coach Tomlin, I know you've been in the exact same spot for 18 seasons now, but for some reason, I can never find your address. As the Coach of the Year award, I've been sending myself around for a while now, so I wanted to personally greet you this holiday season and just get ahead of things this year. Christmas is a time for family, for love, for gratitude. And I'm just so thankful to have you in my life despite never telling you before this. As the longest tenured coach in the NFL, I'm kind of embarrassed that we've never spent time together. I love coaches that win. And considering you've never had a losing season and you're consistently successful with an array of varying roster talent year after year with leadership and adaptability that deserves recognition, this seems long overdue. I know you probably don't care about having me in your life, but it's Christmas, Mike. And I hope this new year brings me my wish of finding my way into your heart and your warm embrace.
That's so
now
nice.
That's a holiday card.
Yeah.
See, public, this is what you're missing by not sending or receiving cards.
Come on. You could send them to the network. Someone send me a damn Christmas card.
Please do that and tell them it's care of Colleen Wolfe at NFL Daily and put the address there. You can find it online.
I will read one on the air.
We would
if I get one.
That would be amazing, actually. I would
love that.
Yeah.
I feel like, in part because of the new Hard Knocks, I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch it, and we're going to get 5 weeks of it. Just watching 5 minutes of that, you were like, oh yeah, that's why Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. It's so obvious that his combination of attention to detail on like the small schematic, like defensive things that he doesn't get enough credit for, plus the way he gets everyone all bought in a fresh way. There's no one like him.
It has to be either Tomlin or 3 of the qualified and representative coaches from the NFC North, in my opinion. Like, it's got to be one of these guys. And Tomlin, I mean, it's time, right? It's been time.
So his whole thing was, because he was asked about this before, and he said Coach of the Year award usually goes to a coach that has overachieved for a team that the expectations weren't that high. And for the Steelers, the expectations are always pretty up there. So he doesn't really care if he doesn't get it, but I think he deserves it.
I love that, though, because even in deferring and like sort of telling us why he doesn't care as much about it, that's such a flex.
Yes.
Like,
I know.
Well, my standard is just higher than everybody else's.
The standard is the standard.
That's
and
so great.
this year's a little different, though, because of the quarterback situation coming into the year.
The expectations weren't that high
The
this
over-under was about 8.5, which is average, but for a Steelers team, that's about as low as it's ever going to be. So I think you're onto something.
And everyone questions Justin Fields, like switching to Russell Wilson. He knew.
He did know. He always knows. And yet, if he doesn't win the award, this card's gonna almost seem like a little gaslighty. You know, it's like,
well, it's return to sender. It hasn't like actually reached him.
Well, if it gets there before Christmas and
stamp.
he doesn't get the award. All right, Jourdan, you give us a card.
Okay, I have a holiday card from a GM desperate to keep his job. He'll do anything, seriously. To the team owner. Season's greetings. I hope the holiday season is bringing you warm times with family. I would like to be able to see my own, but you had my key card access limited, and my car keys are in my office. This also could have been an email, but for some reason I can't access my work account anymore, and it says username not found.
Oh.
Although the check's still cashed, so we're good, right? Right? Holiday season aside, I'm also writing to tell you how motivated I am to get this coaching hire right this time. I'm leaving no stone unturned, no angle unsearched. I'm looking for inspiration in places some might call unlikely, but hell, they'll call us innovators when it works. That's why I'm writing to you from a post office down the street from Hopcat in Detroit, a bar where tonight a Dan Campbell lookalike contest was held.
Wow.
I took a plane, a train, and an automobile, an Uber, to get a first-hand scouting report on the qualities a fan base holds dearest in its beloved head coach. One hopeful winner even brought a wheelbarrow with 2 footballs in it on stage as a prop. That's the kind of confidence we're looking for in our next head coach. The actual winner, a man named Jeff Randall, brought a play card and a Trenta Starbucks cup. We're looking for that kind of energy. I have to tell you, I've never been more inspired. After 3 failed attempts over the years, I finally understand.
Wow.
NFL players want a coach who gets them, who can navigate situational margins, who builds a culture in the team building and in the community, who hires a great staff. How crazy is that? I promise you, if you activate my key card again, I'll go find that coach. Please?
Ooh, a holiday card that is begging for a job.
Just a desperate general manager. To
He'll do
some
anything.
team owner.
He'll do
Just
anything.
Any
Seriously.
GM
Anything.
out there. I was immediately trying to think, like, what GM has gotten that many swings at the apple? And you know what? One that came to mind was Nick Caserio. And
Tom Telesco.
he did kind of get it done right on the 3rd try with D'Amico Ryan. So
Third time's the
you
charm.
can have a happy ending.
I want to thank Colton Pouncey, my colleague at The Athletic, because he has this great recap of the Dan Campbell lookalike contest, including descriptions of the props that people brought on stage.
I love that one.
It seemed like an incredible atmosphere.
It's
Look
so
at all
funny.
those big Dan energy.
I love the women that got in the mix here. One of them legitimately just is Dan Campbell. Is it like a cardboard cutout? Is it AI? I don't even know. Like that guy right there. I mean, he
that's the
strikes a
one. That's
figure.
the guy who won. That's
Yeah.
Jeff Randall. He won.
There's a lot of people that look like Dan Campbell.
Here's the
There are.
Here's the thing. There There's no way to recreate Dan Campbell.
No.
Like, it is interesting, though, the Mike Tomlin's, the Dan Campbell's kind of the culture builder. Maybe that's going to be a little more in style.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these Coach of the Year candidates that we're talking about have that in spades. They have that little extra something in terms of whether it's you're a quarterback whisperer like Kevin O'Connell or Matt LaFleur, or you're a situational master and a culture builder. I think Mike Tomlin and Dan Campbell both qualify for that. Or you have that culture and that reputation. It's back in.
Yeah, you're not just like some generic coach that people don't remember. I mean, these are memorable people.
And he's he's now, going to go up against a guy this week, Sean McDermott, who in another world would be like a candidate for Coach of the Year, but no one really ever remembers him.
He was on my list.
I heard the great Chris Long on the Green Light podcast. I think they were like referring to him as a guy that would show up on like a sketch for
McDermott?
This is sort of like an average guy.
Like a composite
sketch.
of him?
He's a composite guy. He's an NPC.
Oh my God.
And that might be part of his problem why he doesn't get a lot of love, is he just looks like too much like an average guy. But it was really funny, and it seemed germane. I've got a card that has some relation to your first card, but we don't plan this ahead of time, and that's what makes it exciting. The vibe is very different. This card is actually from Russell Wilson.
Oh.
And it's to me.
Wow.
So I just got it. I could open it.
Preempted Geno Smith's card to you?
Yeah,
Wow.
I can just open it here, and that's really exciting to me. To Greg, I'm really looking forward to this. To Greg, Merry Christmas, man.
2 Gs?
Yeah, he had it all right. Merry Christmas, man, or whatever you guys celebrate in Santa Monica. Rosenthal Christmas on December 14th because your family leaves you for Japan. Weird.
He knew that.
It's all beautiful, though. It's all family. How do I know this? Oh, I've been watching, man. I've been watching and listening.
What?
Yeah, I remember the Around the NFL podcast you did back in 2021 when you said you'd rather have Mac Jones long-term than me. That wasn't even so bad. That goofy strident bastard almost beat Jamar Chase in the Rookie of the Year voting that year. Like, I get it. He was younger. Nah, it was the smug way you would bring up this bad take over and over again when I was struggling in Denver and somehow acted like you were onto my downfall ahead of the pack. We got Mac Jones ruining generations of potential NFL fans in Germany and getting Bailey zapped while I throw for 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions for a coach that can't stand me. And sure, yeah, you nailed that one, buddy.
Wow.
It's all love, man. I'm in a better place now. Good to see you're doing well with the new show. Been digging that See You Next Tuesday crew, even though
yeah.
you didn't think I was the best quarterback on my own team. Yeah, I heard that one too. I mean, I get it. Why would one of the greatest coaches of all time dare change quarterbacks when they were scoring about 2 offensive touchdowns every game? I mean, he must not know what he's doing either, but Justin's my friend for real. I love this team around me for real. Forget getting a quarterback island mentioned. What's a guy to do just to get a little respect in the streets? I married Ciara, for God's sakes. Come on now. So when you're watching those Christmas games alone on the couch, Greg, I want you to look up in the sky. That's not Santa Claus. That's one of those sexy deep balls falling from the heavens to blow up one of your lazy narratives. Win the 7th. Russell Wilson.
Wow. I can't believe he used bastard.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just don't picture that.
No.
Multiple sheets of paper seems like for that card.
It was a lot of words, like overly
Well, sometimes
verbose.
you get those like newsletters from people.
he's
It's
the
like,
guy.
this is what's going on.
That's
It's
what I
like,
was-
this is way
And
too
on
much.
the 3rd day of September, my dog breathed.
Did you know that Russell Wilson has a catchphrase in Pittsburgh?
No.
And it's win the 7th. And I guess it hasn't really caught on nationally, but he does end some of the interviews and press conferences with win the 7th.
Huh.
Win the 7th Super Bowl for
Yeah.
the Steelers.
I did not know that he was doing catchphrases again.
Got another one.
I didn't. I thought he'd kind of given up.
You know
but
what?
I
At
wanted
least-
him to.
At least he has decentered. There's no let's. There's no first name
yeah.
reference by himself. There's no. It is a collective.
Yeah, that's true.
And he does
action
deserve
item.
respect out here in the streets. I mean, he's a guy who you would have thought wouldn't have been able to handle a situation where he essentially was benched for a
and
chunk of the
specifically,
season.
he noted that you wouldn't have been able
Yes.
to process that.
But to be fair, I think that section of the letter, just reading it closely, he did note that really all of us were kind of against going to Russell Wilson at the time when it was Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And he is proving
He is correct.
a lot of people wrong. And he's been a good teammate and leader for Justin Fields. I don't think like it's pretend. They really all get along there.
You know what
Greg.
I really appreciated out of this letter from Russell Wilson to you
Yeah.
was his graciousness.
Yeah.
Like
Really?
it was
Because I
like-
picked up a little different tone.
It was
yeah.
like a graciousness with 2 G's
Mm.
about just how he forgives you and he listens to everything you say specifically, Greg, and details it thoroughly and really just even the receipts provided by Russell to you had some sort of a positive Greg spin on it.
It showed.
which I
It
thought
showed
was
he's a good
really-
listener.
yeah, I
He's
thought
just showed
that was-
he's a strong listener.
I'm a little concerned that he is watching and listening to everything you're doing, and
Is
he
he
knows when
Santa?
your family is not going to be in town. Like, do you have Simply Safe or Ring or anything like that? It's just a little worrying.
Is he Santa?
Or he's Santa.
Is Russell Wilson real? On the next NFL Daily. All right, Colleen, give me another card. here.
Okay, here we go. Where's my music? Great.
There she is.
Season's greetings to everyone trying to gaslight the Eagles into thinking it's 2023. Good tidings I bring to you and your kin. It's with great pleasure I inform you that everything is totally fine in Philadelphia. In fact, things could not be better this holiday season. There's absolutely no tension or unresolved issues resurfacing. Nothing to worry about other than warm wishes and Yuletide during this special time of peace and joy. You know, Christmas has always brought the Wolves closer together, as in my family,
Including Tim.
including Tim. Never
Love that Tim guy.
Never did dysfunctional family dynamics get in the way of what's most important, winning. Winning at gift giving, at decorating, at cookies, but most importantly, winning at games. And that last one is true for A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, too. 9 straight wins led them to this special time of year. And it would just be so much more cheerful if you didn't project your own problems onto a team that isn't at all scarred from the results of 2023. 2024 has brought blessings that will carry over into the arms of Saquon Barkley to 2025. This year is not last year. Next year won't be last year either, if you're following all of this. May the holiday spirit fill whatever emptiness is in your heart. And may any concerns about the Eagles team chemistry fade away with the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby danced with Danny K.
Oh, what a nice note
Yeah.
to end it on. And I like that it's everyone trying to gas us. It's basically everyone
Yeah.
that you have in your address book,
I mean,
in your emails.
So many cards went out. I'm out of cards.
Brandon Graham maybe include on that. Like, is he getting a card? I wonder what the call was like and who made the first call to Brandon Graham and when he realized maybe he stepped into it a
Great
little
question. But you know, he didn't seem that I don't know, perturbed or upset or flummoxed by it.
It is interesting. He said it so confidently in the moment. It was almost like, hey, we all know about this, right?
Right.
And so what's interesting to me,
Flustered was the word I was looking for.
yeah, but what's interesting to me is like veterans, whether they're playing for a team or not currently able to play for the team, they have their methods tried and true. They've got their ways of sort of getting everybody back into line, back into step with each other. Especially if there are people in the locker room talking to the media about what we could work on passing,
Yeah.
and if there are if there's an sort of forced obliviousness from Jalen Hurts. If I'm a veteran player, and this is just what I would do personally. If I'm a veteran player, I would sort of call them out and signal to get back into line without so much overtly doing that. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I would
like
do.
privately. I mean, that was what Brandon Graham said in his sort of retraction. It's like, yeah, I just didn't want people calling out anyone in the media.
I think it was done with purpose, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so too. And it honestly, I like the mess. I like the drama. Just from the outside, I'm rooting for the
You do
Eagles
love mess.
too.
Yeah.
But this is kind of fun, and it makes a little sense too.
Isn't it so classic of what we know this regime to be at this point, where it's like everything is going great, guys?
Yeah.
Like why?
The vibes are fine.
And then all of a
2022 vibes. That's what Sirianni said, right?
It's like a red flag team in terms of like when you if you meet someone and like everything is so great and it's going so well that I've got to throw a bomb into this to ruin it, right? Like
I think it's
everything's
gonna be
too
fine,
calm.
guys. Everything's totally fine. There's nothing to worry about.
I just hope Jalen Hurts can meet the moment because there's just a lot on him. And I thought about it after he made that 30-yard run last week. One of his best plays of the game where he finished it inside the 10-yard line, kind of jumped over. And right after that play, which was an awesome play, the crowd's going crazy. It was at an important moment of the game. It was a great play by him. He just stood up and walked stone-faced back to the huddle. And I was like, man, is this guy having any fun at all?
He's all business.
I get it. Like, he is a very serious dude, but he just seems like he's gripping the ball too tight, which is maybe what A.J. Brown is getting at a little bit. It's like
he was open quite a few times, wide open. And AJ did not go to him, or Jalen did not go to him, or if he did, it was not a great ball.
All right, let's get your next card, Jordan.
This one's a little bit shorter than Gregg's.
My next one's even longer.
Oh, no.
This is to the rest of the MVP, the rest in all caps of the MVP candidates from Joe Burrow. Dear Josh, Saquon, Lamar, Jared, and Panay.
Hey!
Writing to wish you a very warm MVP-sons greetings. Am I right?
Oh, no.
Jared, I know you love that one. Listen, I still consider myself a part of this group. Have you seen my stats? And boys, I know you're pulling for me too. Even though it's from the warm comforts of your respective teams that haven't royally screwed each of you over during MVP caliber seasons in literally historic fashion. Anyway, this isn't about me, even though I fully expect to take one of your spots on many 5-candidate ballots when it comes time to vote. But it's not about me. I just wanted to wish you all a very happy holiday, a happy... Okay, let me try that again. I wanted to wish you all a very happy holiday and a happy postseason. Love you, my bros, and you deserve it. I mean, I deserve it too. So does Jamar, but it's not about me. It's not about me. P.S. Panay and Jared, can you send me Ben Johnson's cell phone number?
There we go. I love Joe Burrow getting on our agenda by putting Panay just even on the list.
I know, right?
That was
he gets
kind.
it.
That's
that dude
fun.
gets it.
You never know. Maybe if Burrow went absolutely crazy down the stretch and he finished 9-8 and
mentally crazy.
No,
We're
I
on
mean
the verge here with him.
just the numbers. Maybe they could be so good that he does get it.
They're not mathematically out of it.
Well, that too. That too.
According to Cynthia Freeland, I asked her last night, so how did the probability move? She said it went from like 1.3% to what looks like about 5% chance of making the playoffs now. So, hey, I mean,
There's
that's
a
an
chance.
increase.
That's real. Now, I don't know if those numbers are, accounting for the fact that it took the Cowboys completely botching a fake punt just to beat Cooper Rush. Like there was about 58 minutes of concern that reminded you why this Bengals team is where they are, and that's what makes it so frustrating.
They needed
for
this.
Joe.
They really needed that.
And to reiterate, Joe Burrow is 7th in EPA per dropback, 7th in total EPA, 1st in completion attempts, yards, touchdowns, and 4th in passer rating. Joe would want me to tell you that.
He is outstanding. He's a good-looking young man. I watched the game yesterday.
Greg, you're getting your Stacy
with some younger generation, like friends of my daughters of my friends, and there was a lot of Joe Burrow as hot talk that was between the moms and the kids. Just saying.
Okay.
He's connecting on a level.
Good for him. That's great. He's winning in multiple departments, I guess.
Anything from the dads or?
we talked about his outfit quite a bit. I don't know if you
Okay,
saw that
so
last
I was
night.
going to bring that up because I'm not even sure how to describe it because it was just like it was a 2-piece matching set, but there
Looked
were
like he was wearing Christmas lights. Kind of.
lines all over. Yeah, and it was almost like, was it yarn? Like kind of looked like yarn. It reminded me of, or like a house decorated for Christmas with lights.
He was in the spirit, guys. Didn't you hear how much in the spirit he was in his?
According to my sources, he ate it. He looked great.
Yeah. Well,
My-
maybe we could get you in that outfit.
My last card is that would be great. I would not eat. My last card is from Bill Belichick to exactly 29 NFL team owners. Starts out very traditionally. When the magic of Christmas fills the air, I hope you find it everywhere. I have found anything but over the last few months. After watching the human detritus on the field and the hackneyed tragicomedies that qualify for game plans in 2024, surely you felt that something integral was missing from this 2024 season, namely me. Oh, sure, you could have found me on McAfee or the Underdog Show Coach with Michael Lombardi and Matt Patricia 2.0, or the Manning Cast on Monday nights, or The Breakdown, a show with Peyton Manning that should be football nirvana, and yet no one has told me they watched it. No one. Or Inside the NFL on the CW, which at one point aired opposite The Breakdown.
Wow.
Or in my role with
No.
or in my role with the 33rd team as a strategic advisor, which means I'm potentially advising on the Jets coaching search. Or Let's Go, a legendary podcast with Jim Gray, in which I replaced master orator
How does he have the
Tom
time?
Brady. If you caught me on any of those mediums, you will recognize I have not lost my fastball. I've been keeping up with league trends and constructing a plan of attack that makes that story about Mike McCarthy buying a PFF subscription in 2020 look like Harold and the Purple Crayon.
No.
Great book.
I will return better than ever, but with many of the favorites you came to love. Patricia 2.0, humble Josh McDaniels, and Dante Scarnecchia, if that rascal would just return my calls. Think same old greatest coach of old time, but with a vibey new banner. And yet, I haven't heard from any of you. No one responds to my DMs. I am sending this while flirting as hard as I possibly can with UNC and other college teams, just hoping that being wanted makes me look more attractive to the league where my father once played for the Detroit Lions. If you have any concerns that I spoke negatively about your players or organizations on air, fear not. I only dismissed players from the Jets, Patriots, and Falcons because they wronged me, and you wouldn't want to wrong me too, would you? From my home to yours, I hope you have a happy holiday season and a prosperous new year, preferably with me running your organization. Ha ha, wink emoji.
So a holiday
Bill.
threat.
Yeah.
That wink emoji's new. Good for
Yeah,
him.
just like
Good
he
for
tried to
him.
end it a little
Yeah.
softer. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's learning. He could really. I mean, with language like that, he could really connect with the youths.
This guy could really use a break, Bill Belichick. So I hope he does get another job. He doesn't have enough
No,
right now.
he doesn't. All of those jobs and the news that came out from our friend Ollie Connolly, and
Insider.
let's
Ollie
let's talk about it right now. Outside of this card, Ollie Connolly, who's been on this show 3 or 4 times, including co-host in London, does an awesome job. One of the best X's and O's guy, has been reporting about Bill Belichick. So let's just go over what he reported to. He said, in his words, that Belichick had agreed to become the next UNC coach, although the UNC side of it was not settled. Belichick had handed the school a 400-page organizational Bible with structure, payment plans, staffing choices, and decisions on whether to commit with UNC. And he's expected to know their decision maybe by the time you guys hear this, within 24 hours, as of Tuesday morning. He has a college and pro version of his updated manual, and he's shared it with NFL teams and schools, but he made one specifically to UNC that touched on every aspect of the program. And there's already been some pushback at UNC from their group of trustees because essentially Belichick is unsure if the school will meet his demands, and he is unwilling to negotiate at all. He just says, this is what we're going to do.
He wants what he wants.
And it'll include a GM that does all the signing of the players and probably the recruiting.
And the NIL.
Yeah, all of that. And that's his plan. Pretty amazing.
So Belichick would actually have a GM.
He would have
Which
a GM.
seems shocking.
Now, that's not fair. That's not fair. Maybe later in his career, at the very end when he was not running it well. But think of a lot of good personnel people came from that tree.
But he wants full control over
Yes.
what's happening.
But yes, Scott Pieldy was never totally in charge, if that's your point. Nick Caserio.
Now we veered
Yeah.
to another direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is obviously a huge story. This is significant. Kudos to Ollie, by the way. We're going to start referring to him as Insider Ollie.
oh, nice.
When I opened up the post this morning, I was like, what the hell? Why is Kirk Cousins breaking news
Yes.
all of a sudden? Because they look so similar to me.
Wait, really? I have to Google.
They really do. Yeah. It's also significant because there's more reporting and shining a light on some of the dysfunction that's been happening and the infighting among the board of trustees group over at UNC. It's a 13-person board of trustees. And then the athletic director, Bubba Cunningham, and the chancellor of the school, Lee Roberts, they were the ones who ended up dismissing Mac Brown, who reportedly had the support of the trustees. And now there's infighting over financial
College is so
restructuring and financial allocations and personnel decisions such as this one. So it doesn't surprise me that Bill Belichick, through his 400-page manifesto, was like, hey, man, guys, this is a mess. Like, I want full control over what we're doing. And the fact that he has salary allocations reportedly included within this and set numbers for everybody, set personnel. Steve Belichick would have a role.
Of course
He would be the next head coach. This whole story, to me, the most important thing from it was that Belichick had already sent this to NFL teams, that he is ready to go work for UNC because of something I've been saying on this show. He is not confident whatsoever that he is going to get an NFL job, and he loves football, and he wants to coach. In fact, I would surmise that if he's doing all this, he's guessing he won't have a job in the NFL, and he's got a plan, and he's done a lot of studying on how to make it work at the college level that he would be excited about, and here is his plan. Something tells me he's been working just a little harder on this plan than, let's say, his Let's Go appearance with Jim Gray. It supports my theory that he has been phoning in these media appearances, which has been really disappointing to me.
Listen,
To you personally.
this
Yes,
could also.
for real.
I kind of feel like it could be a marketing ploy too. Like, okay, look at all of the people who want me, NFL. Like, I could be going here. You could lose out on me. Like, people want other people who are wanted by other people.
That was what the card was all about.
Yeah.
You know, he sort of got to that.
Yeah,
in the
those
29.
How does he have time to write all of these Bibles?
Well,
Okay,
that's what I
such
was
a
getting
great
at. That
name,
his
too.
full-time job has been
Yeah.
making this Bible
Belichick Bible.
and trying to get jobs while
The
he's
Bella
got 10
Bible.
other media jobs here.
I hope he copyrighted the phrase the Belichick Bible, because if none of this works out for him, sell that thing, man. Bind it into an actual book and sell it.
That would be a bestseller immediately.
Yes.
The Bill Walsh book, Finding the Winning Edge, is just that, his sort of Bible on football, and is one of the most famous and treasured football books of all time. I can guarantee you Bill Belichick has it, and it's up on his thing. And it'll cost you like $180 on eBay to get it. It's out of print, but he is the next guy to do it. That would be amazing. Give him a job. I hope UNC gives him the job. Someone gives him
It
a
would
job.
be interesting to watch him navigate, again, a very modern and rapidly changing college football
different.
landscape, particularly at that school. I cannot state this enough, how significant, and this is Brendan Marks and Ralph Russo at The Athletic have been reporting on this for several months now, the infighting and the interpersonal drama that is happening over at UNC, with the board of trustees, and between them, the athletic director, and the chancellor. And to throw a figure such as Bill Belichick into the midst of that, and then also, by the way, trying to be a football school,
Well, they haven't in the past. I saw a story that said where they ranked in terms of NIL money, and they were behind my Tulane Green Wave, way low in the rankings. So they are not a team. They're not an organization.
It is a fascinating structure over there.
Well, to your point, I found it really interesting that he was talking directly to the chancellor and not the athletic director, because that's usually how it goes when guys are hired to be a head coach.
And when you're going for a job like he is, he might think this is a long shot, actually, that UNC does all this, but he is absolutely prepared to take the job if they are willing to do all that.
He even has a succession plan.
Yeah, Steve Belichick would have to take over.
Right out of the NFL, Nepo baby succession plan.
And they would be fine with that, apparently. You're not going to be able to pull that off at the NFL. So I want Bill Belichick back in our lives, and I want him happy, and that's coaching football and clearly not doing podcasts, even though I think he could have had a lot of potential if he actually put the energy that he put into coaching into doing that.
Wouldn't someone please think of Bill Belichick and throw him a W? I mean, my God. Would someone please think of him? It's about time.
On that note, we will take a break, and we'll be back talking about two teams that badly need a W, the Rams and the 49ers. Thursday Night Football is a fun one. Back on NFL Daily. If that Belichick thing happens, it means we can get our UNC correspondent David Ely more back in the too.
Great call.
That would be a lot of fun. I just know
Good for Ely.
I just made his day even just saying his name. Like no one wants clout more than Ely.
He has reason for optimism with the Panthers too.
Yeah.
Like, love that for him.
The Panthers have the most feel-good 3-game losing streak I've ever seen.
They really do.
It's awesome.
Everything's coming up, Ely.
I want to talk about this Thursday Night Football game. Even going into last weekend, we didn't know how important this game would be. If the Niners and Rams had lost to the Bills and Bears respectively, it would feel kind of like a dead game. And yet, Jourdan, one of my favorite rivalries in the entire NFL, because of all the history between the two coaches, which you've lovingly detailed on The Athletic, and of course,
at times hatefully detailed.
with the play callers. It matters that the winner of this game is going to feel a little something inside. The Rams will have every reason to believe that they could maybe go make the playoffs and at least get to Week 18 with a chance to win the division. And the 49ers would have just broken the heart of their rival and maybe put themselves back in the mix at 7-7. Maybe both teams also coming off their best game that they've played literally all season long. I know the difference in quality of competition was different, but for 49ers fans, I think it was really exciting for them to win a game convincingly. They literally haven't done that like since week 1 against the Jets.
The coaches now are in a place where they have like an ominous respect and friendship happening, right? Although when they play each other, not so much. These teams freaking hate each other, though. Like, there are players in both locker rooms that they freaking hate each other. And, you know, Aaron Donald, who is retired, will still pop up from out of nowhere, out of like this amazing post-career life that I hope he's taking every victory lap he can. And he'll just say, I hate that team. Like, he'll just be a soundbite somewhere. And like, that's the thing, is even if the 49ers, their window or their chance is slim, right? Winning this game would be huge for them. It would swing things significantly, although they would still have a long road ahead. Both teams have a long road ahead, regardless of the outcome. But they will always be up for each other, like up to play each other, ready to go. It will always be a physical game. It does not matter who is at quarterback, who is at running back. The 49ers are going to be missing probably Isaac Guerendo, who's dealing with a foot sprain. It does not matter. This will be a game that both teams get the heck up for because it matters that much to the players in the locker room, even regardless of the stakes.
And the first time they played this year, the Rams stole one. It's a big reason why they're in position to possibly make the playoffs, was that late comeback in a game that San Francisco kind of dominated early.
Shanahan had won 9 straight games against Sean McVay. In the regular season. Now Sean McVay has 2 in a row, so he can start his own little streak here. But I think one of the most interesting things about this game is the fact that Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp will be playing together for the first time against the 49ers. It's never happened before.
Wow.
So that, I think, is obviously huge. They're averaging a ridiculous 150.5 combined receiving yards per game in those 20 games that they have played together since Puka Nacua was drafted. So now the 49ers have to deal with both of them at the same time for the first time.
Couple of good last week. They used him more vertically. Everything they did last week was awesome and got Rams fans like my daughter and wife thinking, oh, wow, like maybe they're going to do it again, because when their offense is humming like that, that was as impressive an offensive performance as we've seen all season long. If they can run the ball on the 49ers and then be that efficient with the big plays, they don't have that long a road, Jourdan. Really, we got to win this game, but then you're at the Jets and you finish with 2 division games at home,
Yes.
Cardinals, Seahawks.
They control their own destiny.
And
they really do.
They could even afford to probably lose that Cardinals game because Seattle has such a hard schedule and go in with a chance. So I think it is very fair, because they've done it in the past and because their ceiling games are that high, to think, man, maybe they are revving it back up again. The offensive line, tell me what you've seen out of them and tell me why you think they went empty so often. So that's what they did very often.
Yeah.
That means no running backs in the backfield with Stafford. They did it to great effect when they won the Super Bowl. They weren't doing it nearly as much recently, and they did it way more in that Bills game and kind of caught them off guard and very successfully. Do you think they keep doing that?
Yeah, well, in part it's because they trust their offensive line a little bit more. It's just going to be the 3rd game this year that group, as intended, will be together because of the injuries early in the season. But they also go empty because Matthew Stafford likes to use it to get teams to declare their pressure. So all of the different intricacies that a team could send against you, whether it's extra pressure, standard pressure, the types of body language or shifts that you see from a defense when all of a sudden you spread the field out wide into empty, it gives Matthew Stafford a ton of information, and then he can adjust accordingly. And they also are using different spacing on the field themselves to maybe get some of the voids downfield that the Bills weren't quite expecting. You saw players schemed open a lot this game. And in part, that's...
It hasn't been happening quite as much this season, I would say.
Yeah, because I would say the receivers aren't necessarily... It's not the fastest group in the league. I mean, even Puka Nacua, who's an absolute superstar, it's not necessarily... They're not going to, wow you early in the route, necessarily, other than some of these really physical catches. And we know Cooper... He's still got some juice left in him and some of that short yardage stuff as well. But overall, it's not the fastest. So this group... declaring different voids on the field by spreading the field out wider, win and empty, and then also you're disguising some of your passing contours in that way, but you're also getting the defense to tell you what it wants to do to you when you go and empty, which is why Matthew Stafford really likes to use it. Now, this was a Puka Nacua, ascension game in that we've seen...
That catch on the sideline
Yes.
with that body control was insane.
God mode.
Walker is so correct. Puka Nacua does in fact rule, and part of it is he has no fear or the biggest thing for him is he loves football and he does not want to let anyone down. In particular, Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford can put it on him in any particular way with the catch radius that Puka has, and the trust that these two have developed, in part because Cooper was injured for so much of last year, has really developed. When Puka Nacua is healthy and feeling good, he is almost unguardable. Between the trust that Stafford has in him and the catch radius that widens because of that, and the crazy things he'll do to sell out for the ball, but then also because he gets open, he's physical, even when he is contested, even when there's a contact at the catch point. He just wins. This kid is just a winner. He just is.
Yeah.
I love him. I do wonder in this game if the 49ers defense, I feel like that game, no one really watched that game live. And when I went back to watch it, I was like, wow, this was a great performance by Purdy.
Yeah, he played off.
We're going to get to the quarterback island element to this in a second, but let's get through sort of with the game talk too. Purdy had one of his best games of the season after getting kicked off quarterback island, just like Matthew Stafford. He was pressured on 48% of his dropbacks against the Bears, which is a really high number, and yet barely had an incompletion. He was throwing with anticipation. He was fantastic. Kittle is having a great season.
Yeah,
and
he's having an all-pro level for his position season.
He's at 800 yards. It's him or Bowers.
Yeah.
Those are the top two for me. Debo, let's talk about Debo for a second. Debo had a funny tweet afterwards. I don't know if you saw this, Colleen.
What is it?
He tweeted out he's not struggling at all, just not getting the ball.
Oh my God, a receiver that's like upset that he's not getting the ball? Is that what's happening here?
We're seeing a screen cap of it with 4 million views, but you can no longer find it because he has
the views match the amount of times he used the exclamation point.
He's deleted it. He is getting the ball. He's so much less effective as a runner than he's ever been. He's not breaking tackles. He's not the same Deebo Samuel. I put it like when he had an anticipatory throw early in that game that Purdy found him down the field. I was like, oh my God, more of that. I haven't seen Deebo catch a normal receiver pass down the field in so long. And they do give him the ball 6, 7, 8 times a game, and he's not the same guy as before. So was this uptick, Colleen, you think for the 49ers, like their defense and their offense playing a perfect game, just a blip? Or did they go on one of their late season runs too? Because I wouldn't put it past them. I've just seen them win too much, especially in this matchup that you mentioned. They have totally dominated, except for the most important game they ever played against each other, which was the NFC Championship. But in the regular season, they've had their number, and it's a big test for me, I think, for Stafford and some of the older players like Kupp and some of the offensive line to get it going again just on 3 days rest and win again.
I think if one of these two teams is going to go on a run based on their game last week, it's going to be the Rams.
Yeah.
This is kind of what the Rams do also. I mean, I thought it was interesting. Last year, they went 7-1 after their bye. This year, they're 6-2. They both struggled, both years they struggled before the bye, so they're kind of following that up. They were so good on third down, 11 of 15. That was an area that they completely struggled in. I think they were converting 33% of the time. That was third worst in the entire league. So now that they're healthy, this is the offense that they kind of envisioned and that I thought was going to be the case all year long. So now that they have all the pieces in place, I think it's the perfect time for them to go on a run, and I think that's what we're going to see.
The thing that keeps slowing me down with them, and they have a massive pile of data from last year about getting hot this time of year and then just going, right? If they would have won that wild card game against Detroit, no team wanted to face them in the playoffs, and you heard that pretty publicly from people after the fact. But I sat in New Orleans up in the rafters of the Superdome, and I watched this Sean McVay team with a full cast, with healthy receivers, with a healthy Stafford, with a healthy Kyron and Puka and Cooper get shut out in the first half against the New Orleans Saints defense, or by the New Orleans Saints defense. And to the point where it didn't just look bad. It looked like they were moving backwards comparative to what they were able to do against Buffalo. And so that's where I'm like, all right, two games in a row, they have not done this yet this season. They've beat bad teams and they've lost to really good ones. Buffalo might have been their breakthrough, and they certainly hope to carry this momentum forward and to ride that wave but they're going to need more from their defense because Josh Allen went
Thursday is when it starts.
Yes, but Josh Allen went into God mode, omniscient ball playing at that point. But and you can't do a lot against that if you're a defense and you're reeling from explosive after explosive after explosive that he's compounding against you. But they need more from their defense. They need more from their defense when a quarterback works out of structure. They need more from their defense tackling after the catch. They need more from their secondary. So
they need more from their young pass rushers. I would say they got run over in that Eagles game, which wasn't really about the pass rushers, but it was about physicality. And then the last 2 weeks, they had a 25% pressure rate, and then they had a 22% pressure rate against Josh Allen, which is really poor. So is this young group hitting a bit of a wall? We'll see. We don't know if Trent Williams is not practicing on Tuesday. Neither is Nick Bosa. That's good news for the Rams, but you're right. The Rams need to get it going, but ultimately it is kind of about Stafford, and now we get to the QB Island of it all. Because this game will be really interesting for the QB Island discussion.
I'm so mad.
One of the reasons.
I'm so mad.
One of the reasons.
Oh, you're gonna let Gregg set the stage.
Why Matthew Stafford? Not about the QB Island stuff. One of the reasons why he's not out there. All-time great players towards the end of their career, sometimes they can get it cranked up for a brilliant game, but they can't maybe do it week after week after week. And I think we've seen that out of Stafford this season, that he's had some lulls, and now he's got to do it on the road on a short rest against his rival. And then if he doesn't play well, Jourdan, you can take back all that guilty feeling that you shouldn't have for kicking Stafford off QB Island. Set us up here. You've been going through it.
I've been going through it. I think I've sent you like 30 texts
my
about
God.
this. I fret. I'm a fretter. I'm a catastrophizer. It's part of what propels me through the season to get work done because I can never be behind on anything. And in this case, I am fretting and catastrophizing because I tried to be a good teammate on Quarterback Island after Gregg Rosenthal. And Colleen, you were not here, and you got to know what happened.
I can't believe I missed this.
Because Gregg autonomously decided to shrink the list down to 10, which is fine. We talked about doing that probably late in the season.
Okay.
Down to 10. If it was still 12, I had Matthew as my 11, but shrinking down to 10, I wanted to be a good teammate and open debate. And because I had so vocally backed Matthew Stafford, even in lull times over the course of the year, he's been hard to figure out.
You stood by your man.
He's had some highs and he's had some real crash outs and some very erratic games. And I thought, I'll be a good teammate. And because I was the one that fought for him so hard, I will say, okay, let's talk about pulling him back. And then we can revisit at the end. And we voted and all of that. And it was a triple no vote. We were all on the same accord because, again, there were 10 spots. What I did not expect to happen late in the game was for Gregg to totally just bastardize the meaning of the Riptide card in the worst way. Just kidding. It was an accident. Gregg accidentally messed up the definition of the Riptide card, which is you have to pull somebody off the island, and then you can vote over who can take
pulled
their
a
spot.
Colleen.
Instead, he autonomously put Gino on the island with no discussion. He tabled him the entire time because Steve brought him up as a potential no candidate.
Yeah.
I think he was getting booted off. Gino was.
I don't necessarily agree with that because he's been playing great football. But again, we were down to 10 spots, and it was supposed to come down to Tua Tagovailoa, who's been statistically extraordinary over the last several weeks. And it was going to come down to Gino, a debate between Gino, Tua, probably Stafford again, and Sam Darnold. And instead what happened was Gregg made us table the Gino discussion until the very end, then panicking, pulled the fake Riptide card that was not actually the definition of the previously introduced Riptide card.
I don't love that he's saying that this is a Colleen move.
Well, what it was I didn't understand the rules in the moment, which is a problem.
But you were so confident.
The host of the show. No one pointed out to me at the time. We heard from a lot of listeners, and what I said to Jourdan on multiple fronts.
I've been in knots
as the executive producer of this segment. As the originator, it just, a little controversy isn't the worst thing. People are responding that they were very upset that
You can say that because your guy played great last week, and the guy that I introduced to vote off played amazing.
Here's where I think you're
Purdy.
conflating things, though. In the end, Stafford was not getting on that island. Me using the ripcord or not, Riptide or not, he was not getting on it. I actually went into the Stafford discussion with an open mind. I had a list about 4 or 5 guys, and I thought maybe he's on, maybe he's not. He was kind of on my borderline. So I was surprised when you brought him up. But once we went through the conversation, it was clear both Steve and I would have had Tua Tagovailoa over Stafford. We did have Sam Darnold over Stafford, and we put him on. And from the sound of it, we probably both had G. So in the end, the same thing happened. You made the right decision in the moment.
This is gaslighting.
And
This is gaslighting. This is what dictatorships do when they
you
don't give you a vote. We should have had the opportunity to discuss and vote, because if we're really going to talk, there was really, and all of the deleted footage,
but that has nothing to do with Stafford.
That was not in the show. If people could just hear all the footage that didn't make it in the show about how you thought there was less spots than were actually available.
That was just losing track of spots.
So we would have had.
So confusing.
No, we would have
That's
had.
kind of a Colleen move.
We would have had one spot to debate between, and I'm serious. I went back because I've been in knots over this. So I went back and I looked and I listened and I went back and I did the scouting report and all of that, and I took notes because I'm a psychopath. And
you're giving that
literally,
right now.
I know, I'm literally giving.
I was going to ask you if you have any hobbies.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing.
This is my hobby.
Here's the thing. The QB Island, the projection, the QB Island placement is not a projection. It's not a look ahead to see what you're gonna do. We could have done that.
I thought you could make it whatever you wanted. That's what I heard the last time.
Apparently not.
You could,
well,
but
no,
it's
Gregg
about.
can make it whatever Gregg wants.
The rules are fluid.
It's about what you've done. And Purdy got booted off.
Yeah.
Purdy, I thought, had maybe his best game of the season last week. And just because it wasn't against the Bills in the national window, it didn't get any attention to. So he responded to the challenge that we gave him. Stafford did as well. And it was the right decision at the time. And we could have done, I'm just trying to ease your guilty conscience because I know there's a lot of Rams fans that are like, you kicked Stafford off and now look what he's done.
My mentions have been insane.
We could have done that.
Oh my God.
We could have done the version of that show 10 different ways. And Stafford ultimately was never getting on because I think we were all in agreement that he was probably about 12th. Tua was ahead of him. Darnold was ahead of him. Geno probably would have been ahead of him, but it didn't matter. He was not getting on no matter what, no matter when you brought him up. So don't put it all on Jourdan is what I'm saying.
Well, thanks,
it wouldn't
Greg.
have happened.
Thank you, Greg. And now I feel calmer. But I will say the thing that should have happened is we should have been allowed to debate over the final opening between Geno and Stafford, although he wasn't getting on. Geno, Tua, Sam Darnold, and Matthew Stafford.
You know, reality television, a little controversy is good.
Yeah.
A little finger on
you know
the
what's
scale.
great? You know what's
It's fun.
great is the motivational tool that this clearly provided
Truly.
to two people who do not listen to the show. In that Brock Purdy and Matthew Stafford, to your point, Greg, had incredible.
I wouldn't
incredible
assume
games.
that. Kelly Stafford, she's got ears everywhere. Who knows?
Yeah, she does. I don't know, guys.
How about that sleep number ad too? I like that. That's
I'm
all
trying to
over
get
the
a sleep
place.
number in general, but I mean, in terms of this
I'm
whole
trying to get
discussion
sleep
that you guys
in
are
general.
having, can't go back, only can go forward.
Yes.
So hopefully there's debate in the next one.
Thank you, Colleen, for
Colleen.
wrapping
No
it up
problem.
so closely.
So that's what happened last week.
Wow. I've been losing sleep as well, Jourdan, over
Yes,
it.
I guess I'm gonna pick the Rams, but I don't believe it. I'm just gonna my head actually says 49ers, but because I want to be on the side of my family, you know, I want them to be happy. Ultimately, I'm gonna just pick them because I don't actually know what's gonna happen. Little known fact. So it doesn't matter who I pick. Might as well pick what I'm rooting for. And that's
Well,
what
I
I'm
mean,
rooting for.
who do you actually think is going to win?
Something in my head just says actually the way seasons go, like the 49ers are gonna ruin this like idea of a late season run by the Rams. Something says that.
I think you got to go with it then.
And then neither one of them, you know, ends up making the playoffs, and it's less annoying. I just don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna.
I think the Rams are going to win.
Okay, good.
It is going to be raining. Looks like it'll be raining. Obviously, outdoor stadium. The Rams don't have a ton of experience playing outside in elements, being a California / covered team. Although that sideways lightning for that Chargers game was a bit crazy. That one.
Oh, that was
time, a couple
nuts.
years ago,
Yeah.
right? If the Rams can be this team that they showed against the Bills, like they let it all hang out, right? And so if they do that again, I don't think anybody will have an easy time beating them. I'm going to pick the Rams to settle my mentions down and my DMs and my tags on social media sites that I don't even use anymore. And like,
Check us out on Blue Sky.
Gonna calm.
I thought it was
everyone
Brewski
down.
for a while.
Like a brewski, yeah.
I then realized it's Blue Sky,
Yeah,
not Blue
definitely not
Ski.
Blue Ski. The 49ers are favored by 2.5. I feel
Home game in the elements. I get that.
I feel better about just taking the points with the Rams than I would about picking either team because it is truly a coin flip to me.
A real toss-up.
That is it for this show. I'm looking forward to, we got a special extra show dropping into the feed later this week.
Oh, shoot.
Colleen Wolfe is going to be a part of it. My friend Anthony Jeselnik, with whom I do the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project, JRVP, and also has a new Netflix special out. We're going to sit down with him and just have a little extra show, and that'll drop into
Yay.
your feed later in the week. So
Overtime.
keep an eye on that. The next time you'll hear us, though, will be our preview show. That's going to be with my good friend Patrick Claybon and special in-studio guest Cam Wolfe. That'll be fun.
Love that.
Look, when a fictional Russ Wilson, or is he fictional, is writing a card to me, you know football's back.